Please welcome to the stage our absolutely beautiful Grand Marshal Bree Fram.
So, thank you for having me, Annapolis. It is just an honor to be here, but I have to start off with, because I am still on administrative leave, the disclaimer that I am here in my personal capacity, and my views do not necessarily reflect those of the Department of Defense. Oh, wait, do I say Department of War now? But let me get this straight though. The department wants us to call it by a different name. We're supposed to respect that, and it's not legal. Is DOD trans? Because there's something I resonate with in that story. But in any case, their views may not be the same as mine, which may be for obvious reasons. But one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about today is how the queer, and especially the trans journey, is something that is, in a way, uniquely American, and how us celebrating it today is a reflection of those values. Because if you think about it, what was our nation if not assigned British at birth? We then literally fought to be recognized as who we are. We said, this is not us. We are Americans. We have different values. And we were told, no, that's not okay. Because when we went to DAD, or as some of you may be familiar with musical theater know, we went to da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, and Dad said, no, you are not Americans. Here is a battalion fully armed to remind you of my love. Something that, rings a little familiar today as well. But we said, you know what? We really are Americans and we are willing to fight for it. So we went to our estranged mother and said, hi, Mama France. Can we have maybe some ships and some money? Because we'd really like to be Americans. And she's like, absolutely. I don't really like your father, so go ahead, you can be Americans. And we're like, hell yes, this American thing is awesome. And we wrote it down just how awesome it is in those founding documents that we get to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And then when we wrote a constitution to really put that together, we actually have to go past those first three words, we the people, and we get to the, in order to form a more perfect union. And what kind of journey is that of queer and trans people in anything other than saying, this is the more perfect version of myself. This is who I really am, and it is the best. And you all have done that. You have stood up to the world telling you, you are something different, but you looked inside and said, no, there's better. And I am going to show that to the world, and the world benefited from it. That's what is so amazing about our journey. And when we eventually had the ability to be out with who we are, when Pride started, it was a riot. It was a protest that we can ask and demand better. And right now, I know it is scary. I know it is tough to be out there and to say things. I get messages all the time from people saying, oh, I wish I could like your post or reshare something that you're saying, but I might lose my job, or I'm afraid of what's going to happen to me. And in fact, just last year, in the midst of over $200 million being spent at the end of the campaign to demonize trans folks, I sat down at a park bench overlooking the ocean with my mom. And the first question she asked me was one I was not expecting. She said, what is your plan to flee? And she was reflecting on our history. Her father, my grandfather, was one of the lucky few to get out of Germany in the 1930s. And as soon as he was able, he raised his hand and he said, "Send me back, because I know what evil looks like and I am willing to stand up and fight for it." And I believe that what we have here as Americans is worth fighting for. It is worth taking some risks. It is worth liking a post, sharing a story, telling someone else's story, and when you are able, lifting someone else up, because all of us have the ability to be allies to someone else and to make a difference in their lives. And the best thing you can do right now is remember your rights as an American. Take that First Amendment right to speech, to gather. Use it. That is what we are doing here today. And every time you do that, every time you do the boring things that make democracy work, speak at a school board, write an op-ed, get up on stage, share someone's story, you are making a difference. And even more importantly, you're lowering the barriers for the next person to do so, because courage is contagious. And when you show your courage, someone else shows theirs. When you show your pride, someone else shows theirs. And someone else gets to say, "I can do that too. I can be the best version of myself." So remember who you are as Americans, remember your pride, and go out there and make a difference for someone. Thank you, Annapolis.